we're live again.
Hi.
Hello.
Hey. I'm holding it.
Holding it.
Call me William Holder. Holden Caulfield?
No.
You don't like that?
I don't get it.
Holden Caulfield?
Holden Garfield? Are you saying Garfield?
Caulfield from Catcher in the Rye?
Oh, yeah. No.
Have you ever read that? Maybe like 20 years ago?
Was that the one? No, I'm thinking of To Kill a Mockingbird. I have never read Catcher in the Rye.
Okay, well, it's all right. The guy
I
reminds
was required.
Oddly enough, the guy this is probably not good, but Holden Caulfield really reminded me of Ryan Sturdivant. And that's not, I don't think that's great.
You have this weird, you always jab at him, but it's never in front of him.
Sturdivant?
Yeah.
It's
You're always like, you fat fuck. He's never around.
No, that's Ryan Gardner.
Oh.
No, I get jab at him all the time, and he knows it. I do that to his face. Ryan Sturdivant's the other Ryan, the skinny Ryan.
I think, didn't he only come around once?
Yeah, well, he came around, and then I cut him out for my life because he's a Holden Caulfield character, probably.
Okay, I'll just have to take your word on it.
You got to, believe me.
Got to. Well, thanks for hanging out, everyone. I do see Spencer's out there. He's holding it.
So the funny part is like I could just I had it loaded up on my phone, right? I was like, I could just go on my computer.
Oh, and just let it run in a tab.
I could just go here if I wanted to. So, are you gonna watch that new Knives Out, by the way?
Didn't even watch the first one.
Well, I
don't like that director. Like, ever since Last Jedi, I don't care what he does.
You're out?
I'm out.
Well, the problem is he's not a Star Wars director. He's like a noir director.
Okay, well, then he shouldn't have fucking done Star Wars and ruined the middle part of that trilogy.
But if they were like, hey, we'll give you $100 million or whatever it is to direct it, wouldn't you also be like, yeah, I'll throw my hat in the ring for this?
But I also wouldn't put out a complete piece of shit.
Well, I think okay, you agree that the problem with that is like the tone was way off. Oh, the first one.
I mean, the tone was way off. It didn't feel like a Star Wars movie at all. It felt like just a random space opera. And then on top of that, Carrie Fisher died like a good 9 months to a year, I think, before the movie came out. They should have redone the movie. Not the entire movie.
But the parts of it?
Yeah, they should have just had her die. Because remember, that was the movie where she flew out in space and was in a fucking coma for the entire thing.
So wouldn't it have just made sense just to let her go out into space?
Yeah, and let her die.
That's it, right?
And then the only thing you would have had to do is still have Luke do his thing, but he could have been weak at the end of the movie.
Right.
And been like, Rey, come to me, I need your help, or something.
Right.
And then you still have Mark Hamill to kind of help carry the torch
right.
in episode 9, and you can still have him die. I had no problem with him becoming one with the Force.
Yeah, that was cool.
All of that was fine. It was just like, swap them.
Yes.
Make it simple.
Right.
Swap them.
Or, like...
Not swap them, swap them.
Or bring Harrison Ford back in like they did in the third one.
I mean, he was already dead, though.
True, but you could have, I like that. That was my favorite part of that movie. Or one of it. No, actually, my favorite part was when all the ships showed up.
Yeah.
And then I lost my mind. I was like...
Oh, man, I got goosebumps when that happened.
Are we... Okay, wait. Okay, we should probably get going, right?
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
I was like, well, I got here late, so that's my fault. So I'm not trying to...
That's okay. We always blame you.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right. Well, we're going to start recording in 3, 2.
You can't see it. All right. I'm guessing this is the... Here we go. Okay, we did it.
Guys, welcome to episode 166 of CMDTower's Brews and Kombuchas. I'm just kidding, it's builds. I'm MrComboNumber5, and my fellow host did brave a lift through the snow on this apocalypse, BigTuck.
It's not even that bad out. Hey, cats and kittens. Also, so this is something that perturbs me with Kansas, right?
What perturbs you?
A lot of things, as everyone knows, which we don't want to get in. I don't have to go fully into, but whenever it snowed, this is the Midwest, right? Especially Kansas. This is like the home of twisters, the home of inclement weather, right?
Not Twister the game, tornado twisters. We have to clarify.
Yes, that's very true.
People could be confused.
What if it was the home of Twister too?
We are the home of White Castle.
Yeah, it's Salina, Kansas.
Yes, Sliders.
I got an A on my history paper for Kansas history for writing that senior year. But whenever there's inclement weather, the city just goes berserk. People lose their minds. And it's like, yes, okay, fair enough. It's -4 outside.
It's cold.
It snowed 2 inches. And, people are like, my dad's like, I'm not driving in that. What, are you crazy? What if we get marooned? It's like, It's not like we're out in It's not like we're out in the cow field. Like there's how. Like
Did you almost say Poland?
I was
we're out in Poland.
I was gonna say Poland teats, but because I've been using that expression a lot when I was in Western Kansas.
Well, so I think the issue is I think KC, we've had a lot of people move here that weren't born and raised in Kansas.
Yeah.
So I think we're getting a lot of people, from maybe the Mid-South, possibly the Southwest, Texas, and they legit don't know how to deal with it. For example, I know that's been happening to Denver. A lot of people from California and Texas have started to move there.
Right.
And one of my customers, the one that I went out and saw the Chiefs game with, they were telling me that there was a 20-car pileup in downtown Denver because there was 1 inch of snow on the ground. And I was like, why? And they're like, because people in California and Texas are still driving 80 miles an hour and just being idiots.
Right. But at least like things are still open, right? Here,
Yeah.
which I like. When I had my first inclement weather experience in wait, we're recording, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I just want to make sure I didn't see the caster up. I might have not been paying attention. Anyway, the point is, it's like when we had our first inclement weather, I was like, I want to be up in the mountains, right?
Uh-huh.
I want to be up in the mountains in snow. That's when I car camped. Woke up, it was 20 degrees in my car. It was fucking awesome. And then I like ripped it in the 4Runner back to town. I was like, oh, Charlotte should be open. I got back there. There's an inch and a half.
Everything closed.
The entire city. The entire city shut down.
Yes.
Like nowhere was open.
Yep.
Some poor Dan had to walk like 3 miles just to go get a 12-pack of seltzers for his girlfriend. And then we just got drunk watching football on that Sunday, which ended up being great. But it's ridiculous.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I want to say Memphis, any snow, the whole city does shut down. They close schools, they do everything.
Close bus routes. Yeah.
Yep. Now I do get it because I didn't realize this. When it's below a certain degrees, they have to cancel school because of the bus system. Because you can't have kids waiting outside in -5, -10.
Which makes sense. Yeah.
I get that, even though I'd like to call bullshit. They didn't do that for us in the '90s. It'd be like a foot of snow, and it'd be like, all right,
we're still
you're
waiting
still
for the
going.
bus.
You're still going to school. No.
These kids have it so easy today. One of my coworkers' kids got to take a sick day because his girlfriend broke up with him.
And like the school let him take
a sick day, and his parents were okay with it.
Wow.
I was gonna say, if I had a sick day for every time I got dumped in high school, I wouldn't have graduated. I would have been behind like a semester.
I mean, I hate to say it though, I had a lot of sick days senior year, and my parents just did not care. I wouldn't even go upstairs because we had I don't know if you remember, we had an intercom system in our house. I would literally get on the intercom and just be like, can you call me in sick? I don't feel good. And she'd be like, okay.
And then just go back and play video games.
I'd wait for them all, rub a few out, let them all go to work, and then go play video games.
Yeah.
All right.
In there.
Well, thanks for hanging out with us. And Brews and Builds is our deck tech series. Since we have conquered the path to 32, tons of EDH themes. Yes, I'm doing the Kevin Smith hands again.
We're doing it again.
We are theory crafting a deck and holiday movie. The holiday movie does exist, but the deck doesn't yet. And we're going to correlate how this deck is constructed, similar to how beer is brewed. So we broke this down into 4 different categories. The first one's ramp and setting your board state. We call that grains.
And grains are the foundation of every beer. They include both base malts and specialty malts using a 60-40 ratio. This helps with the color, the taste, and most importantly, the alcohol content of the beer. Decks always need ways to grow, stabilize, and ramp into bigger threats. And just like a grain profile, they usually mix of staples and specialty cards.
The next one is how does your board interact with all of your opponents? We call that hops.
And hops give the beer its patented bitterness and herbal floral flavors. They grow in a variety of strands and help distinguish subcategories like this. My favorite beer from the Midwest.
Oh.
The Pseudo-Sue.
Pseudo-Sue.
This is full of Citra.
Ooh.
Which kind of gives it a little zip. They grow in a variety of strands and helps us distinguish subcategories like IPAs, as I just said. Our hop choices help clear and interact with the board so your deck can ultimately do it at once.
And then, how does your deck actually close out and win games? We call that yeast.
And that's the living microorganisms that eat the sugar from the grain and poop out alcohol and CO2. It helps with the alcohol content and the carbonation. Without yeast, you'd be drinking flat sugar water. And without yeast cards, your deck would meet the goal of actually winning the game.
And then we have a key that you need for every mulled wine. We have a spice section.
I like that. Do you like a mulled wine?
That's all right.
That's all right, yeah. I am like good for, put me down for one. I can have one. Not every beer has them. With spices and other additives help separate a normal stock beer from a specialty one. It could be the pepper that turns a stout into jalapeno stout. I really need to change that in my template. Or the additional hops that turn IPA into a double IPA. Not every deck has something that makes it pop, but if it does, this is where we generally talk about it.
So without further ado, let's get brewing. Continuing the Christmas tradition of picking a holiday movie with a legend, I actually chose this particular commander, an Urza Chief Artificer. And then Big Tuck chose Rudolph and the Island of Misfit Toys
Yes.
as the correlation. So, Tuck, why don't you read Urza? I'll talk about why I chose this for my legend, and then you talk about why you chose this for Rudolph.
So, and also, to be fair, he also chose this before I chose Mishra, so I just took that idea right out from under you.
Yep.
So I appreciate it. But we're talking about the brothers, right? It's holiday, you know.
Sure.
Like my brother, we just beat each other up every season. So Urza Chief Artificer is a legendary creature, human artificer. That's a 4/5, and it's mythic. For 3 colorless, an Esper, that's a white, a blue, and a black. It has a lot of text on it, so let's buckle in here. So number 1. Affinity for artifact creatures. So this spell costs 1 less for each artifact creature you control. Artifact creatures you control have menace, which is awesome.
Yep.
At the beginning of your end step, create a 0/0 colorless construct creature token with this creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. So it's kind of like you pay a couple more mana and you get the Urza ETB every turn.
Yep.
Right? Including the turn it comes in. So yeah, so what made this jump out to you?
So the reason I picked this one is I think this might actually be an artifact deck I would build.
Yeah, oh, sure.
It seems interesting. You know, Affinity was that mechanic similar to Infect, that wizard, or even Phyrexian mana. We'll never do this again!
Yeah,
and then they literally bring it again. So I love the Affinity for artifact creatures because it being 6 is a lot, but I mean, Polydiamir, there's a lot of really cheap costing artifact creatures that can make Urza still come out turn 3.
Right.
Maybe even turn 2 potentially.
Yeah.
So I really like that there is a little bit of degen built in with that.
Sure.
The fact that your artifact creatures get menace is fantastic.
Yeah.
It allows kind of like this cool go mid fluffy kind of type of range, but then also gives you built on evasion.
Right.
And once again, you're getting rewarded further with this token that's going to get +1/+1 for each artifact you control. And in Esper, there's tons of ways to do multiple tokens, get advantage of your tokens. So it just really, all the pieces on it just really screamed like, wow, this could be a fun powerhouse card to play.
Completely agree with that.
Why did you pick the Island of Misfit Toys?
Well, because I mean, we're talking about artifacts. We got we got to talk about some. There's plenty of toys to talk here, right? And I thought, like, I think this is one of the pre-cons, right? I'm pretty sure this is one of the pre-con ones, but they've printed like 6 Urzas in this set, so who can know? So I thought, like, trying to think it through, like, cards that are a little bit out there, right? Trying to pick some sweaty picks, stretching our brains as far as we could go to try to find these ones out there. I thought it would just be kind of a way to spice this up, and try to make it something that's just not just the stock thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think this is going to be a really popular commander, so there's probably going to be plenty of them on EDH Rec, and I think that a lot of people are just going to go copy paste, right?
Yep.
I'm playing Esper Artifacts, suck it, right?
Yep.
So I thought we could try to find some more fun routes there.
Okay.
And I think I got some. I think I got a few that are going to be a little bit different for you.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, before we get into the deck, we would love for you guys to check out our amazing patron community, patreon.com/CMDTower. And one of our patrons is even watching now, good old Spencer Rabbits, did confirm this is the pre-con.
Thank you, Spencer.
And, by doing that from $3 on up, there's a myriad of different ways that you guys really can help support our channel. You could almost say you become the affinity to keeping the lights on.
Oh.
So if you guys can do anything this holiday season or in the future, just patreon.com/CMDTower. And always remember that beyond our first tier, the other tiers do get you a little bit of our swag, and it's cheaper than if you just go to our Etsy store and buy it, which you'll hear about later. So let's get into the grain section. And Tuck, why don't you start first? What's the first grain card you want to talk about?
All right, so I went and did a deep search into the Isle of Misfit Toys.
Okay.
It's similar, in about the same depth of in similar scope to Nightmare Before Christmas.
Okay.
So one of the toys was a bird that swims.
Okay.
All right. So what kind of bird doesn't need oxygen and could hypothetically go underwater?
I mean, I'm going to assume you're going to say Ornithopter of Paradise. Ornithopter of Paradise.
We'll get to that later. That's a good one. But this one is, of course, Joyous Foxtrot.
Oh my god.
Joyous familiar. This card's amazing. 4 colorless for an artifact creature bird, so it doesn't have to breathe, you would assume, right? So you go underwater. It's a 2/2 flyer, so you're chipping in with flying and menace. And then most importantly, historic spells you cast 1 less to cast, right?
That is nice.
And I think we've talked about this a lot on we talked about this a lot on the podcast, right?
Mhm.
Like, I love the fact that it's not just artifacts, right? Because
Yeah.
there are a lot of legendary creatures and planeswalkers and stuff like that that really fuel into this.
Sure.
So for me, I think it's worth the extra mana or two to have something that's going to help out long-term game. And I'm really trying to focus in on creatures.
Okay.
So get them with a menace.
So I don't hate it. It's just I feel like this card has been outclassed.
You think so?
4 mana is a lot.
It's a lot.
And I mean, the historic spells cost 1 less. The fact that it is going to go across your legendaries and your artifacts is really nice. So I would say if you're able to get 4 cards reduced off of this, then it kind of pays for itself.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, I wish it was 3 mana. Yes.
Yes.
And so for me, I think this would be if I think I will build this deck at some point. This to me would be the 101 card, and then I would have to go in and say, okay, let me count my mana rocks.
Yep.
Do I feel like I have plenty? And if I have plenty, then I'll go ahead and keep it. But if it's this or a mana rock and I have to choose, I'd probably go mana rock.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
At least it's a mana rock, though.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. Well, my next one, you know, I tried to think a little bit into the. So a lot of my picks have to do with the conglomerate of the toys, because that's really kind of how I looked at Mishra. Yeah, Mishra to me really is Rudolf or the dentist.
Sure.
I can't remember his name. It's not Jerry, but it's something very generic like that.
It's Hermie. Hermie the dentist. Hermie the elf.
So, you know, you could kind of say they're either, but, you know, they're the ones kind of rallying the troops, rallying the toys. And so I thought Thopter Spy Network is kind of a creative way to, like, kind of get the big island. So, Thopter Spy Network, 2 colorless blue enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control an artifact, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying, aka literally the island just keeps growing with, you know, these reject toys, and so every upkeep we're constantly adding a new toy to the island.
Sure.
And then whenever one or more artifact creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. Once again, the island is constantly being plentiful with resources throughout the movie because the toys are getting neglected.
Yeah, I love it. And also remember, everyone, because this is a mechanic. This is like the wording. Because for me, this is just like, oh, okay, this is a 1 card draw a turn.
Mm-hmm.
No. It's up to 3, right? Because you could deal damage to multiple players.
They actually don't have the rule on here.
Oh, wait, the last ability will trigger at most once per combat damage step per player.
Per player. There you go.
So this card's awesome, right? Like, we already have, like, I think this is a great pick. I think Thopter Spy Network is a slam dunk in here. It gives you your creature, it gives you your card draw, and we're adding, I think you could also even argue this is potentially Rudolph's lesser brethren. Because they're flyers.
Fair.
But they're little boys, right?
That's fair.
This is like the Blitzens of the world, right? No one gives a shit about Blitzen.
No one gives a shit about Blitzen.
Yeah. No one likes Blitzen.
Dasher F off.
Yeah. Right? Just draw me my card and get out of the way for the good stuff.
All right. Well, what is your next pick?
Okay, so my next one, this one is you're only gonna like it because of the Misfit toy it represents. I'm wagering to guess this card is not gonna be the one that you're gonna like.
Stuffy doll?
No. So we have a boat that can't stay afloat.
Okay.
So I really went into boats, right? And it turns out there's not a lot of good ones unless you're running straight artifacts and vehicles.
Okay.
And there was a minute where I was actually building this vehicles. I had to stop myself, be like, this is not the deck.
This is not good.
But there is one that I thought was funny because this boat will end up capsizing and turn into a land.
Okay.
And it's Conqueror's Galleon.
Okay.
So let me load it up here. Scryfall. So I think it's 4 colorless, and that's it for a 2/10 artifact creature. Does Scryfall just shit the bed?
I think it did.
All right. What's it? Magic info now? Nope.
Or was it my internet that went?
No. Because I'm loading it up. Hold on. I got it. Okay. We gotta go to Gatherer. So while he's doing that, okay, here we go. Here we go. Okay, so 4 colorless for a 2/10 artifact vehicle. That's crew 4, right? We're going to be able to do that lickety split with our artifact, whatever we want to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, plenty of things to do this. A couple mirror, perhaps. A couple Thopters, that sort of thing. So when it attacks, exile at the end of combat, it capsizes, but comes back as land. So it turns into Conqueror's Foothold. Tap and add a colorless to your mana pool. 2 tap, draw a card, then discard a card. 4 tap, draw a card. 6 tap, return target card from your graveyard to your hand.
Whoa, so many things.
So, like I said, it's a little sweaty. It's a little sweaty,
Yeah.
right? But I think this is kind of like could be a fun inclusion if you're trying to spice this up a little bit because we will have plenty of things to crew this with.
Sure. So I don't hate it.
Really?
It's not great, but I mean, for me as a player, this kind of helps fit a niche. I usually don't run a lot of card draw, so I do
I will
like the
force
fact
you.
that I can at least Ancient Tomb myself or Soul Ring, draw a card, discard a card, or if I really want to pay for because I don't want to discard, do that. And the fact that it also does produce some mana is
Yeah, right.
nice. I just wish that this was a May ability,
Right.
in case we wanted to keep it out there to help us pay down for Urza as a creature.
Oh, for sure.
So that's the only drawback, but it's a kind of small drawback.
Yeah. Well, wow. I'm surprised you like that one. All right, that makes me feel a little better.
All right. So we're gonna go with a staple.
Okay.
Anointed Procession.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, you got to have it in here. 3 colorless white enchantment. If an effect would create one or more tokens under your control, it creates twice that many tokens instead. Once again, this is all about the island producing and getting all these like rejected toys. But I think for this deck, we're going to have enough token production through the smothering types of the world.
Absolutely,
the Urzas, because you'll probably have all of the Urzas that are applicable in the
I would
deck.
think so, yeah, for sure.
And so, as many ways as that we can produce multiple artifact creatures. So once again, because I do think Urza is going to be removal bait.
Big time.
And
he costs 6.
Yeah.
Right? So
and then you start adding in command tax, but that will get paid down for the affinity, which is nice.
Oh, true.
So it's one of those things like I think mid to late game, you're gonna need like 8 creatures out if you want Urza to only cost like the 3 pips and like 1 colorless.
Yeah.
It's gonna get removed quite a bit. So I think this is unfortunately a devil that you have to have in the deck versus we've talked sometimes like I don't know if I'll run doubling season. I could just run parallel lives. Or I'll just do 1. I don't need all the token producers, and I think for this deck though you do.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. So, do you think that thematically this is the workshop, or is this? Well, I guess it's a procession. Okay, it's a workshop, right? I was gonna say, is this like when Rudolph comes back and saves Christmas? But there's not like a parade for him.
No, because no one gives a shit about Rudolph.
I was trying to find this to watch.
Okay.
With my niece and nephew, this movie, $9 to buy.
Okay.
I'm not paying $9 for a movie to watch once. I guess I'm paying $16 today. So
there you go.
The difference?
I think the crazier thing is as growing up, I always thought that movie was made in like the 60s or 70s. The movie was made in 2002.
No, that's a new
2001.
There's two now. There's the original Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, where he goes on the adventure to the Misfit Toys. Then they made a sequel like 4 years
and that's
later.
the Island of Misfit Toys.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's the one we're talking about.
Correct.
Yeah.
Or kind of both, I guess.
Well, see, but it's still like that second one. I have it ingrained in my head that had come out because it looks so old,
right? With the stop motion.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, what's your last grain?
All right, you stole it from me. We are doing Artifactor of Paradise because it's an all-star, but this one's a winged bear, right? Because it's not supposed to fly. It's kind of supposed to be a bird, and it's got wings on it. So Ornithopter of Paradise is one of my favorite cards that's come out in the last few years because I love my Thopters. 2 colorless for an artifact creature Thopter. It's flying, and it taps for a mana, and it's an 0/2. So if you get something in there that pumps all of your creatures, you have something that has evasion. It pays down for Urza twice, kind of, when you think about it, right? Which is why I like these artifact creatures that tap as well. Because affinity doesn't matter. So bring out your mirrors, bring out your Thopters, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, no, I slam dunk.
Yeah, I mean, it's good, right?
And I feel like, do you feel like this card, it's hard to say staple, but if you think about it, it's kind of like an Arcane Signet.
Yeah,
Arcane Signet's kind of become a staple in every commander deck. Do you just run Ornithopter of Paradise regardless?
I do if I care about creatures or artifacts. If there's any sort of
what if you don't care about either? You just want more cheap, low to the ground mana rocks.
I think this is okay. I'll do you one better, right?
Okay.
So I think this is a replacement for any of the 2-drop. If you have a 2-drop artifact in your deck that comes into play tapped, like Cold Steel Heart or something like that. This is in.
Okay.
Almost every time, I think.
Okay.
So I love it. And it's like, what, 30 cents on the dollar? 17 cents on the dollar?
Yeah, that's so cheap.
It's great. So I agree with you. I think this card needs to be played way more often.
Well, and the crazy thing is the 17-cent one is the old border.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think that looks way better.
That looks awesome.
Yeah.
Coming to a deck near you, several of them.
All right. Well, my last one, I'm all in on the island.
Okay.
Felidar Retreat.
Oh, okay.
3 colorless white enchantment landfall. Whenever a land ETB is under your control, choose one. Create a 2/2 white cat beast creature token. It's a non-bow with the affinity for artifact piece, but it's going into our tokens,
Sure.
producing additional toys for the island, but then also put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, and then they gain Vig until end of turn. I think that is insanely powerful for this deck when I've already mentioned, like, mid to late game, you probably need 8+ artifact creatures on your board.
Yeah.
How about I just added 8 power for the turn? They'll have Menace and Vigilance.
Yeah, it's incredible. I think this. So, do you think that this card would be way less? I agree with you 100%. Do you think it'd be way less playable if it was like the Cons or Dragon style, where when it ETBs you have to choose one? That's like way
worse.
Significantly worse.
Yes,
right.
Significantly worse.
So, and even here we're gonna be playing our land drops, right? We're playing Esper, so we're gonna be drawing piles of cards. You're gonna be able to go off with this big time.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that's going to wrap up our grain section. And we would love for you guys to check out our amazing Etsy store, etsy.com. CMDTower in the search bar. Another holiday sweater purchased yesterday right after the cast.
Are you running low on those?
I'm running low on mediums and 3XLs because those are the two sizes that I just didn't do a lot of. I think it was like 5 and 5. XLs, plenty of double XLs, which I usually recommend because, like, if you want to anticipate for some shrinkage.
We're all doing that.
Yeah. And then, probably 10. I mean, I probably collectively only have 40 sweaters left.
Wow, okay.
So, yeah, definitely check it out. But we also get our foil playmats, all the stuff you might need for your Magic the Gathering set. And just so you guys know, we did update the site, but when your order is over $35, you get free priority shipping. So that's like 2-day, 3-day shipping tops.
Suck on that, Bezos.
Yeah, Bezos. So if you guys could, Etsy.com, CMDTower in the search bar. Now we're going to head over to the hop section, and I'll kick this off. So this card, to me, screamed Hermie the Dentist.
Okay.
Because the whole thing is Rudolf is going on this adventure with Hermie because he's tired of everyone using him as a gimmick with his red nose.
Oh, sure.
That's the whole premise, and that's why he and Hermie go off to the island, because he's like, oh, well, I'll just go with you while you're working on this filling.
Right.
So Hermie is someone that, as creatures and toys start to come around him, he's always helping. He's always healing.
Yeah.
And how about Soul Warden in the deck?
Yeah.
So single white. Can't believe this card is over $1. It's $1.50 on the cheap side.
The Soul Sisters, baby.
It's a 1/1, and whenever another creature enters the battlefield, period, you gain 1 life.
Yeah.
So I think with the amount that we are just going to be doing, we're going to be gaining tons of life. And how many times have we really seen Soul Warden just accidentally keep someone alive?
Well,
it's just like, dang it, I thought I've done a lot more damage. Just like, yeah, but you guys have played like 15 creatures between the three of you. I've gained 15 life.
And with Annoyed Procession, it's going to see every single one of those, right? So, yeah, I love it. And the best part of all this, you can get it in gold border.
Just because we're now showing the card. Oh my God!
You gotta go to all.
There's so many copies
There's a
of
lot
Soul
of this.
Warden. I literally could. There we go.
There we go. See, does that look beautiful?
Ah, funny thing, it actually cuts off the gold border online. Ah,
son of a bitch!
Suck it.
You got it. You got it all ironed out.
All right. Well, what is your first hop card?
Okay, so this is gonna be something that's gonna give us a little bit more juice flying.
Okay.
So there's a train that doesn't have wheels. Okay.
Okay.
And I was like, what if? Because like most ships don't have sentience, right?
Okay.
So what if there was one that has sentience and a fucking face? Because we're talking about Liberator Urza's Battlethopter. This card is bonkers.
Horrifying looking.
Okay, I'm not the only one who sees that, right? It's creepy.
It is. Okay, there's many things in Magic that if you saw in real life, you would panic.
Like a giant spider, perhaps?
Yes. But this is definitely up there with, like, Emrakul in the sky or, like, Kozilek off in the distance.
If you saw this thing coming out, like, let's say you're by an airport, right? And you're just like, oh, that's a plane coming down here, and this thing came out? New shorts. Got to bring your new shorts. So 3 colorless for legendary artifact creature Thopter. It's a rare for about $180-ish. So it's a 1/2, which kind of sucks.
Yep.
But it still has a lot of abilities on it. So it has flash, it has flying, and then you may cast colorless spells and artifact spells as though they had flash.
Oh, that's nice.
So I think there's a mirror, that shimmer mirror that does that, but it's only artifact.
Correct.
So you kind of get a little bit juice there. But then also, whenever you cast a spell, if the amount of mana spent to cast that spell is greater than its power, put a 1/1 counter on it, right?
Like that.
So again, I think this is going to give you, back to our favorite new saying of just playing the game, right? You're going to be casting spells. We're going to be casting artifacts. We're going to be casting creatures because that's what we're doing. So I see this thing kind of getting the value incrementally over time, right?
Well, and then the nice thing is because even though you might pay a reduced cost for the spell, when it's on the stack, it looks like the total CMC.
Right.
So especially with your command tax and your commander and the affinity, your Urza is always 6, 8, 10, 12, even though you might only be paying 3 mana to be casting it. This thing is never going to be a 12/12.
Right.
But so it's always going to get those things from Urza. So I really like that. Now, I think the one thing that you'd have to look at with your deck, am I doing more spell casting, or am I kind of generating more value off activations?
Or like the Popular Sky.
Yeah, like, hey, I'm doing landfall triggers to get cats and stuff. I'm not really casting spells. So I guess you would really have to kind of see what your deck strategy is. I don't hate it, though, especially because it does replace Shimmermere, which immediately was the card I was thinking I'd put in the deck, but I would put this in over that.
I would think
because it's just additional value.
Right.
And I think Shimmermere's a 2/2?
Yeah.
1/1? Something like that.
With no evasion.
Yeah, with nothing on it. So I'm only losing 1 power initially, but, being able to flash this in and then do my colorless and artifact spells is really nice.
I'm looking up Shimmermere. Okay, so I thought Shimmermere used to be expensive. It's not. It's a 2/2. And it is artifacts, and it's like 20 cents. So. Outclassed. Adios.
Outclassed. All right. So this next card is a fog effect that I am not super hot on normally. I think it's pretty overcosted at 5. But to me, this screamed the toys coming and rallying around Rudolf and kind of, hey, because I can't remember the big bad's name, but he's just like this grouchy dude in a blimp that's like, telling the toys like nobody loves you.
Yeah, you suck. Yeah. It's pretty much like me going home, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Everyone's yelling at me from a distance.
So Ink Shield, I think, is a good card for the deck, but also good for our theme.
Yeah.
So 3 colorless Orzhov, that's a white and a black. It's an instant. Prevent all combat damage that will be dealt to you this turn. For each 1 damage prevented this way, create a 2/1 white and black Inkling creature token with flying. So yes, once again, Nombo with the artifact aspect, but I think the artifact aspect is only going to be there to reduce Urza and maybe cast stuff cheaper or at flash speed.
Yeah.
But everything else is going to be a go medium or go wide strategy. And you'll kind of see that, especially in my yeast package. So I don't think it matters that we have cards that are producing non-artifact tokens, because they're still going to be helping progress the game and help us. And this card is going to be something that you are going to be getting smacked around. Like, people, when they see you get Urza turn 3, they're like, okay, he has to die.
Yep.
And this is something that's going to prevent that, and people are going to be hitting you for a lot.
Right.
So, do I wish it, though, for 5 mana, it just said prevent all damage that'd be dealt to you this turn?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be nice. It's also $10, which is like kind of on the range, I think.
Yeah, right? But it'll get reprinted. It's just because it was in that Commander Precon.
Yes, right.
And that's the only time it's ever been printed.
This is going to come up in a secret lair or something, obviously, right?
Oh, hands down.
So the thing I really like about this, too, is like, we already talked about how strong Vigilance is going to be in this deck. So we're going to have a bunch of artifact creatures that can tap for mana. We're going to get in the damage with them, and then we're just waiting, right? You're like, come on down, right? You got a bunch of flyers, love it, right? And then the clapback on this, another Felidar Sovereign into it. This card's going to be a complete blowout here.
Oh, absolutely. You know what? I guess they couldn't do the remove the combat aspect, because if it just had prevent all damage that would be dealt to you this turn, you could actually cast it on your own turn. Then Ancient Tomb yourself. Phyrexian mana.
That would be,
Oh, man.
Channel.
Yeah.
I guess that's illegal, but.
Yeah, but effectively it would just be like, okay, I'm going to try to do as much damage to myself.
Wait. Couldn't you just do. You can just do this in Necropotence and be like, all right, I'm going to pay 30 life.
Well, damage is different than loss of life.
Is it pay life for Necropotence?
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
But any of the stuff that says take damage, was there's plenty of, oh my gosh. Like, that would be, insanity.
Awesome. That would be incredible.
All right, well, what is your second hop card?
All right, so there was a wind-up mouse and a set of nesting clown dolls.
Okay.
Right? I think it's only in the background. So I was trying to think of something.
They're all about these background things.
I only have whatever Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer wiki has to offer me, right? So this was what I was thinking. It's like, okay, I want to find something that is like an artifact creature itself.
Okay.
That also makes more artifact creatures and kind of makes this like weird loop through it, right?
Okay.
So I came up. This is another new one from Jumpstart, fresh off the course. This one's going to cost you though $25. Lita Mechanical Engineer. So this is going to have everything that we want going with us, right? So 2 colorless and a white for a 3/3 legendary artifact creature, Artificer, right? Nesting doll, an Artificer that's also an artifact with Vigilance, which is awesome.
Okay.
Right? We like that. At the beginning of your end step, untap each other artifact creature you
I like
control.
that.
So you get your kind of pseudo-vigilance in
Yep.
case your fellow retreat doesn't work out. And then 3 colorless and tap, or 3 colorless and a white tap, create a 5/5 colorless vehicle artifact creature token named Zeppelin with flying and crew 3. Just like the guy yelling at them in the Zeppelin, right? It worked out perfectly. So I like this because that 5/5 colorless vehicle with flying and it's going to have menace. Again, it's like if you don't want to swing in with all your 2/2s and 3/3s, or it's inefficient to do so. Now we have something that we can do with them, right? We can crew them, we can untap them, tap them for more mana, kind of build out that sort of like not infinite, but like self-feeding loop. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I like that, and I'm glad that they at least have an Artificer as an artifact.
Yes,
It always annoys me when an Artificer isn't an artifact.
Correct. Yeah.
But I also like that Lita. You could create your vehicle, but Lita can also crew the vehicle. So if you don't want to pay the next turn, you're going to use all your mana, but you want to leave something else, like maybe it's the only other creature you have is a construct, and it actually is like a 9/9. You're like, well, I don't want to waste 9. I don't want to waste 9 for my 5/5, so I'll tap Lita, crew the vehicle, and then that can go in there and get the damage. So I like that kind of synergy that they put on the card versus a non-bow where it might be crew 4, and it's like, well, Lita literally only makes the vehicle, which I would actually make more sense. Title mechanical engineer.
Right.
It doesn't say driver. All right. Well, my last one is my version of the crotchety old guy.
Okay.
He's basically going in and saying these toys aren't loved. The kids throw you
suck,
away.
yeah.
You all suck. And what card just screams at the table, you all suck, than Ugin the Spirit Dragon?
Not only is he crotchety, he is definitely old.
Yes.
So you got that.
Legendary Planeswalker Ugin, +2. It deals 3 damage to any target. Effectively, just popping off single toys.
Lightning bolts.
-X, exile each permanent with mana value X or less. That's 1 or more colors. Not really an impact our board that much, but I think that is something to, where you get the big board wipe.
Yep.
But then also from the story perspective, that's him basically vacuuming up all of the toys onto his Zeppelin. And then -10, you gain 7 life, draw 7 cards, and put up to 7 permanent cards from your hand onto the battlefield. That doesn't really fit the movie, but it absolutely is a banger. And it's one of those things starting at 7 loyalty. It's not that hard.
It's not untenable to get there.
Yeah.
I agree completely. Would you also in this deck run the other Ugin? That's
the colorless
that's a discount. Yeah.
Probably.
Right. Like I think those are like 2 really strong planeswalkers in here. So I think this is great, especially if you're leaning into the token side of things. You don't care about board wiping, right? And if you're going against this is like a great token mirror match, right?
Yeah.
If someone's chasing you or elves or something, those are always permanents, right?
Oh yeah.
So you can always -X for 0, wipe out all the other person's toys, right? Or the elves, right?
Yep.
Those bastards in the workshop, and you're gonna be left with nothing but value in it.
Also, I must have missed this M21 version of Ugin. That is sick looking.
That looks good.
Looks good. All right. Good. Well, what's your last hop card?
Okay. So this is Rudolf.
Okay.
And there's a lot of elks in the game. Most of them are bad. Like Burnished Heart is probably the next best one.
Well, Burnished Heart's just Dasher.
Oh, sure. Yeah, right. Another one. We have there's another one in there too. But I was trying to find one that seemed like it'd have some sort of value into it.
Okay.
Right? And what is Rudolph but a protection for Santa Sleigh? In similar scope, how Fey Steed will also protect your board. So 2 colorless and double white for a creature elk for 10 cents. Whenever it's a 4/4. Whenever it attacks, another target attacking creature you control gains indestructible until end of turn. Whenever a creature or planeswalker you control becomes the target of a spell or an ability an opponent controls, you may draw a card, right?
Yep.
So he's leading the sleigh in the front, maybe to his own detriment, but then he's also keeping it safe for everyone that's in it.
Okay.
I guess that's kind of it. it's a 4/4 elk.
Yeah, I mean, it's not terrible.
We had to get a Rudolph in here.
Sure.
This is literally the best we could do.
That's fair. Yeah, I don't know. I probably wouldn't include this in here because I don't like the cards where it itself doesn't have evasion, but it gives something else evasion.
Right.
I'm okay with the ones like there's a Pegasus that I think costs 2 or 3. It has flying. It's like a 2/2, and it's like whenever it attacks, another attacking creature gets flying as well.
Yes, right,
Something like that, I'm a little bit better with because it's like, well, at least I could send my flyer.
You can go to someone that's not even that doesn't have reach or anything.
Yeah, but with Face Steed, it's a 4/4, but someone could be like, well, I don't like the fact that he keeps giving like this ridiculous creature, indestructible.
12 artifact construct. That's
exactly. So it's like, okay, let's kill the face deed, and so you effectively get it one and done type thing. So cute though for Rudolf. I'll give you kudos there.
I'll take it.
All right, well, that's going to wrap up the hop section, and now we would love for you guys to check out abyssproxyshop.com, and if you decide to make a purchase there, you get 10% off your order using code CMDTower. Plus, that does help the channel with a little bit of kickback from them. They are a proxy shop that does our CMDTower command tower proxies. They are the ones that have done all my custom decks. They have a very cool custom catalog that you guys can go search and see all the different requests that they've done for people out there, you know, finding random things on the internet and like, hey, I want that as a Magic card.
Right.
So, you know, if you're looking for a playtest or proxy and your play group's good with it, you know, if you got $3, you can go get one on there.
Yeah.
They do foils around $6, high quality stuff, and you're supporting us. So abyssproxyshop.com, code CMD.
It also gets the Carol Tucker, my mother's, approval because she liked the artwork that's on the cards. The proxy she gave me.
There we go. All right. Well, now we're going to head over to the yeast section. And BigTuck, what did you kind of think of like ways to close out and win the game, but still make it seem like a family-friendly film?
So there's a doll named Dolly. Just line it up.
We're just doing it.
Just line it up. Just line it up.
Yeah.
It's got to be in here.
No, it
It's got to
doesn't.
be in here. 5 colorless for Stuffy Doll, baby. Your favorite.
you.
Artifact creature construct. It's artifact creature. It gets menace. 0/1 indestructible.
Okay, great. It's menace. It is 0/1.
As it enters the battlefield, choose a player. Whenever it's dealt damage, it deals that much damage to the chosen player. Tap, deals 1 damage to itself. Just lightning bolt with Ujin every turn. 3 damage. You can just cycle through damage that you can just headbutt. You can just headshot someone else with. Whenever doing it through Stuffy Doll to deal more damage.
It doesn't deal more damage. It does the same amount of damage. I can either 3 someone to the face or 3 Stuffy Doll that still
Yeah, right.
to the
But
face.
this one's from Stuffy Doll, not Ugin, right? So
We're moving on.
Listen. This is my slap, but I also have a tickle for you that I know you're gonna like.
All right.
I know you're gonna like that.
Well, my next one, it's a gamble card in the game of Magic. You've talked about this as you don't play it as often because someone else could be doing a tribal deck and it could backfire on you.
Okay.
But it's an artifact, so it's going to help us with our artifact stuff. And I truly see this as the, you know, once again, those kind of all the Misfit toys coming together and kind of defeating the final villain. I think it's going to benefit us more than anyone else. So I do think Coat of Arms is worth putting in here. 5 colorless artifact. Each creature gets +1/+1 for each other creature on the battlefield that shares a creature type with it. So, you know, not a lot to say there. I mean, you know, our constructs are getting +1/+1 for each artifact. Say 6 of those, 6 of our artifacts are artifact creatures because it's the constructs themselves. Now they're getting an additional 6 on top of feeding themselves already. Like it just seems like this is a way to, hey, 5 mana, I win the game.
So
no,
Stuffy Doll is a construct.
No.
So it's gotta even minimum. It's gonna buff your entire team by 1.
No. So angry.
Do you think that if we were doing this non-theme, you could see a construct like this is like Urza's constructs?
I mean, if you were just getting really sweaty with it.
Yeah, right. If you're just like digging deep for it.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Because I think people have tried to do the construct thing before with mono blue Urza.
Yes, that's right.
And from what I've read, it's just.
I think the only one that we ever saw was good was Oob's like ogre guy, right? That was pretty cool, like the mono red constructs. So, but I'm saying Stuffy Doll is a construct, so that's all I have to say.
What's your next yeast card?
All right, you're gonna like this one.
All right.
So Hermie, a dentist, right? And every dentist has to have a drill.
Okay.
So at first I was gonna do Python Needle. That card sucks. So of course we're gonna do your favorite. I explained this to my mom as well about like. This is the drill. And she's like, why? It's like, because Mr. Combo, if there's anything that he likes more than just winning the game, it's milling, baby. And that's why we're pulling out our boy, Mind Crank.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, see? I told you. A taste. 2 colorless for an artifact. Whenever an opponent loses life, that player mills that many cards. $2 has gone down quite a bit. Still a lot for an uncommon, but this is like effectively going to be a red zone deck.
Yeah.
Right? Like we're coming in with menace creatures that are big. We're coming in with flyers. We're coming in with Orthopters. And I hate to say this, it's the alter the brood argument, which I know is probably coming up soon.
No, I didn't include it in my list.
Really?
Well, because I talk about it enough, and I don't know how many ETBs I'm going to be truly getting.
Right.
You know, I'll have to. It could end up in the final list. We'll put it that way.
But this one, it's like again. It's just another card that rewards you for playing the game, right? You're attacking, you're milling. Again, if you run up against a Graveyard Matters deck, then that happens to be it, right? But this one card for 2 mana is going to get you, what, 40 cards over the course of the game, at least, if not more?
Hands down. Well, and then it becomes this thing, though, where with our Artifacts of Menace, people will make the argument, I'd have to throw both of my 2 only creatures in front of it. I'll just take the 6, or I'll just take the 10.
Right.
Now it's, do I want to take 10 and mill 10? I don't know.
Right.
And then it becomes really frustrating for them. And then it goes to another level to where when they're trying to figure out what they want to remove, do they actually remove Mindcrank, or do they remove the thing that's giving all the artifacts Menace in Urza? So it kind of puts that modality into our opponent's hands. So I really like it for the list.
Yeah. See, I told you. I got you.
All right. Well, my next one, I kind of look at this as Rudolf, and I know I'm kind of putting like some Marvelness into this. So, but it's a little bit like Rudolf all of a sudden like taking all the power of everyone supporting him and being like, I'm going to go through and I'm going to defeat the bad guy. And he does that when he's very glittery. And that's why I think all that glitters is just so good in this deck.
Yeah, it's really strong.
Colorless white enchantment aura. It's $1. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact and or enchantment you control. Bare minimum, it's probably going to bring like 10 to 12 power the turn you play it.
Right.
And then I don't know, like, do I put this on Urza? Do I put it on a construct?
Right.
It kind of it makes it to where I really have a lot of flexibility on what I'm going to put on a 2/1 flying inkling.
Yeah,
I can get flying damage through.
Right.
So I think for $1 and only 2 CMC, you have to put it in this deck.
Do you see this as like, because again, it's not an aura deck, right? Do you see this as like a sort of berserk effect, right? Where it's like, even if you get 1 use out of this, it's +12/+12, and then close. This is like this is like there's 1 person left.
Down.
I have 6 things with Menace. You can't stop all of it, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, I like it. What did you think? What would you think of Nettlecyst in this deck as well?
Yeah, I'd probably put it in there.
You put it in there?
Yeah.
Okay, rad. Believe it.
What is your last yeast card?
Okay, so I was doing my deep dive in here.
Okay.
Do you have any idea who King Moonracer is?
No.
Okay, I must have blacked out during that part of this movie.
I must have blacked out when I was 12 years old.
Listen, man, I got all that Diet Coke finally caught up with me. But there's evidently King Moonracer's like a griffin.
Okay.
In the thing, right? Griffins are so cards that work with this deck, right? So I was like, okay, what's kind of a griffin? A Sphinx, right? It's it's close-ish, right? So there's a card here that doesn't see enough play, in my opinion, because it's just going to nuke someone, and this is going to be something that's going to go right along with all the glitters. Magister Sphinx costs you a lot, but 4 colorless and Esper. That's a white, a blue, and a black for artifact creature Sphinx. It's a 5/5 flyer. Most importantly, when it enters the battlefield, target player's life total becomes 10 on the nose for 31 cents.
7 drop. No.
We're gonna piles of mana. This might as well be Exsanguinate in this deck.
See, you have this weird thing where you just assume there's gonna be piles of mana floating around.
We're playing an Esper artifact deck. That's all we have.
This card has seen the tests of time.
You think this one?
And what's that quote from? A Knight's Tale. It's like, you have been weighed, you have been measured, and you have been found not wanting.
Oh wow,
that is Magister
Where did
Sphinx.
that come? When was the last time you saw that movie?
3 days ago? 4 days ago?
Are you kidding me?
Oh yeah, it was on Netflix. I was like, yeah, I'll watch that.
Right, sure, whatever.
It's a great movie.
But I'm saying, okay. Oh wait, hold on. Shit. Oh, I really screwed up.
Okay.
My spice pick not legal in the deck. It's your time, whatever that time stone is. The reserve list card where you could tap it, make an extra turn, but it was banned. All right, hold on. I can find. I will.
Well, that's okay because I still have 1 yeast card left. And mine, I kind of looked at this as Santa Claus.
Damn it.
But trust me, nobody at the table is going to think it's Santa Claus. I think Jin Kataxis, Progress Tyrant, would be a banger in this deck.
Wow.
And just like Santa, it likes to give you extra, because he's just so grateful.
Sure.
5 colorless, blue, legendary creature, Phyrexian Praetor. Whenever you cast an artifact, instant, or sorcery, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. It triggers only once each turn. So, hey, I'm a good boy.
Sure.
Santa's giving me extra presents.
Right.
Now, my opponents, on the other hand, they all get cold.
They're stinkers.
Because whenever my opponents cast an artifact, instant, or sorcery spell, counter it, it only triggers once each turn. So, yeah, we'll just say that this is probably backup commander, I'd say.
Yeah,
in the deck.
absolutely. I think so, but this is also 7, right?
Yeah.
Would you rather have this or Magister Sphinx?
This.
Really? Just because of the value it gets out of it, or what?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Like, immediately it's better.
But it doesn't end the game though.
Neither does Magister Sphinx.
It puts it to 10. Then you swing. We talked to our constructs are going to be 10 plus.
Yeah, they have menace, so most likely I just swing 3 of them and I win.
Yeah, when they're set at 10.
But I'm gonna get 2 of them through. Who has 6 creatures they can block with?
No one.
Exactly.
They
have 3.
You're proving my point.
No, because I could probably do 24 damage to them.
Oh, so you're saying that
it doesn't matter.
I see what you're saying. You're saying
it
the life
don't matter.
Don't wait. Hold on. Oh my god, I get to do this. I get to do this live because I know we kind of wait. Hold on. Oh my god, this is my dream. This is my dream. I get to do a drop live. Oh, and for those who didn't hear it,
it don't matter.
Wow. With that, we're gonna wrap up the East and we're gonna head over to the Spice. And I will start this off. I actually have 3 Spice cards.
Oh.
So they're all real sweaty.
Yes.
So the first one is the end credits of the movie. Movie's gotta end. Movie's gotta end sometime.
Final parting?
No. Halo Fountain?
Oh!
Yeah!
Halo Fountain?
2 colorless white artifact. White, tap, untap a tapped creature you control, aka a lot of our artifact creatures that are tapping for mana. Create a 1/1 green and white citizen creature token. I love creating off-colored tokens in decks.
Absolutely.
White, tap, untap 2 tap creatures you control, draw a card. And then white, tap, untap 15 tap creatures you control, you win the game. And you can get it for 381, and it is an artifact in itself.
Sure.
So I don't know if I'm ever going to have 15 tapped creatures, but I like the option.
Let me ask you this, though, because I talked about this with Cameron, the Treefolk Lord.
Okay.
Shout out to Cameron on the episode that came out
last
week?
yesterday.
Okay. So this, I think this card is so good that even the last clause doesn't, like, it's like a nice to have, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're still creating your tokens, you're still getting
Sure.
your processions and that stuff, and then
Sure.
you're also drawing cards.
That's fair.
And on a 3 artifact in mono white or in any colors, I think that alone is worth it, right? And then eventually you have this like crazy Rube Goldberg scheme that we can get to, where we might just outright win the game.
Yeah.
So that's do you agree with that? Like it's good enough with the first 2, and then the last one is what pushes it from rare to mythic.
Yeah. I mean, I think so my opinion on the card is mono white. I'm not running it.
Okay.
Not gonna happen.
Not gonna work.
Not gonna work. Artifacts, I could see, because for me the gimmick with this card is you have to have a way to have your creatures tap, and normally the easiest way to do that is combat, but then you're putting your resources at risk. So I feel like in a deck like what we're trying to build, where we are going to be tapping our artifact creatures for mana, that's a little bit different, because we can literally just say, okay, I tap, float 2 white, untap 2 creatures, and I just get them back, draw a card.
Yeah.
So it's like I need to be able to have an easier way to tap them.
I just figured I have a copy of this that I bought that's really fancy, and I've been struggling on what deck to put it in. One of this is really good in Alibu's Artifact Association.
Oh, of course.
You're tapping everything anyways.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. My money's not wasted.
All right. Well, what is your first and maybe only spice?
I got kind of 2.
Okay.
Well, I kind of got 3. So I'll get this one out of the way.
All right.
I forgot that we were playing one of the few non-red artifact decks. So I originally put in Felden of the Third Path.
Wow.
It's a blunder.
Wow.
It's a big one. So Felden of the Third Path is colorless and a red for a human artificer legendary creature that's a 2/3.
Wow.
2 colors in red. Tap, create a token that's a copy of target creature card in your graveyard.
Wow.
Artifact, addition to its other types. It gains haste, sacrifice at the beginning of the next turn.
You just wanted to put Santa Claus in the deck.
I really did. I really did. It's such a slam dunk, right? Like, look at this. Look at this guy. He's Santa Claus. How else do you? I mean, Syndicate Taxes, sure, but this is Santa Claus. So, this might be a first for me. I don't think I've ever chosen a card that is unable.
Way to go.
Unable to be in the deck.
Well, we're gonna move on from that. Got my next spice card. This was also another version of Santa for me.
Okay.
And Oketra the True.
Oh.
So I think this is kind of a cool card in the deck. So 3 colorless white, legendary creature god, double strike, indestructible. Oketra the True can't attack or block unless you control at least 3 other creatures. AKA Santa can't go deliver presents without the reindeer.
Yep.
3 colorless white, create a 1/1 white warrior creature token with Vig. This is a 3/6 you can get for about $2. So I don't think we're ever going to have less than 3 other creatures. Because, I mean, Urza on its own is producing 2 the turn it comes out.
Right.
So I think we're going to have that. So this is always going to be a 3/6 double strike blocker indestructible for me. And also, like we've talked about throughout this, we're going to have lots of ways for hopefully our artifacts can tap for mana.
Yeah.
And what better to just hold that stuff up in response? I am in blue. You don't know what kind of shenanigans I could be doing. And it turns out like, oh, I had 8 mana open this whole time. Everyone's scared of Rift. No one plays anything. Okay, well, I'll just spend the 8 and create 2 white warriors.
That then get double anointed procession. That then get pumped up from Villain Archery.
They already have vigilance.
Oh yeah.
So
absolutely.
like I think this is going. It's a spice card because for me this and the red god, that one I think you can only attack or block when you have like 1 or less cards in hand.
Yeah.
These are usually like the worst ones in my opinion. The black one's not too great because I think that one you have to have a creature die for it to do anything.
But it's all. I think it comes. I mostly agree with you. I think the red one's really strong. I think
Wait, you think the red one's really strong?
No. Sorry, the red one's terrible. Oh. No, and Commander's horrible. It's like borderline unplayable. Yeah. So I think the green one doubles or pumps up another creature for free for 3 mana, solid.
Mm-hmm.
The blue one draws you a card.
Well, but that one you can only attack or block if you have 7 or more cards in hand.
So I also don't love that one.
Yeah.
So I think this one is probably,
okay.
I think this one's actually one of the best.
Oh, that's fair.
The black one, I think it goes this one.
And then the green one, it can only attack or block if you have 8 or more power.
Some power
10
thing.
or more power on board.
Right. And it's got Death Touch, which is solid. It's a 5/5. But the thing about this, I think it's all the activated abilities, right? The black one's decent because it's a sack outlet that you pay for.
Sure.
So you kind of get some value out of that. But I think this one, just being able to dump out creatures is where you want to go. So
that's fair.
I'm actually big on Oketra.
Okay, fair enough. What's your second or last spice?
Well, I panicked, and I'm just going to put this out there. If you have to have Santa represented here, you can put in Felden's Cane, which is not a good card. It's 1 colorless for an artifact that you can tap, exile, and shuffle your graveyard into the library.
Wow.
So if you want to have Santa represented in your deck, this is the only way you can do so.
Wow.
I really
you're struggling here.
I really blundered it, but I got one more that not only is a fun pick that I think you'll like, but it also is inclusive.
All right. Well, my last one is Santa Sleigh. We're talking Parhelion the Second. 6 colorless, white, legendary artifact vehicle, flying, first strike, vigilance. And I mean, let's be honest. I get it, Santa's magic, but there's no way he fits the whole world's Christmas toys in his one little knapsack.
That's ridiculous.
I can see how they all get fit in this flying city.
This flying building. Yeah.
Flying, first strike, vigilance, and menace with our commander. Whenever it attacks, create 2 4/4 white angel creature tokens with flying and vigilance that are attacking. Crew 4.
Sure.
And it's a 5/5 in itself. You can get it for about $2. So once again, I kind of put this in the spice because it is 8 mana.
Yep.
A lot of mana. And so I don't know. Once again, I think this is going to be there with your like Magister Finks of the world. Is like, am I truly going to get the impact on it when it comes out? I don't know. Maybe not. But if I can fit it in, and I don't have a whole lot of other top end artifacts, or I haven't put some Eldrazi or something in there, then I think this could be like at my 8 curve spot.
And it does produce tokens, right? Which kind of plays into everything else. So we're okay with that. Did you play? You weren't playing Arena with Greasefang, right? I feel like did you come back into that? Evidently, this card was like the horror of Arena when Grease Fang got printed. Yeah, like everyone was running it. So I think it thematically works. I think it's probably pretty sweaty in the deck a little bit, but that's why it's a spice, right?
Exactly.
If you land this and have everything else lined up the way that you want it to, I think you're gonna be able to go off the races with it.
That's fair. All right, Tuck. What is your actual real spice pick instead of an illegal card, a really bad artifact?
Yeah, that's
now
an unplayable one. So we did forget that during this time of Toyotathons, Luxus Decembers to Remembers, and Honda Days, we do forget that there is another religion that's celebrating out around this time.
Kwanzaa?
Judaism.
Okay.
And they have their, I don't think it's a menorah, but they have their candles lit up, right?
Yeah, it's the menorah.
That's the menorah, right? Okay, the dreidel's the thing you spin.
Yeah.
I should know this because I just got literally Hebrew tattooed on my arm for my Israel time. But I know that you like messing with other people and taking away the resources and still getting the value out of it, right? We're gonna, like we talked about, we're gonna have piles of creatures that can tap for mana, right? So if we throw in a nice $1,200 reserve list under Candelabra of Thanos, you can take someone, you can effectively time skip someone for doing nothing. So it's a 1-drop artifact, just like your mono artifact, excuse me. I've never seen that before. Just like your boy. And it's been errated to X tap, untap X target lands. So if you need a little bit of juice for yourself, if you need a little bit of help, this can give it to you. If your creatures are producing only colorless, now you can untap your own stuff, get into some sort of rigmaroles, put it in your doubling cube, and now you just have a huge blowout for your Magister Sphinx, for your Parhelons, all that different stuff. But we want to be representative here in this holiday season. Now, my question to you is this. I know we're paring down and the old Magic spend here. This has got to be top of the list, right?
No, it's so bad. It is literally unplayable. Unless your lands are tapping for double.
But what if you want to? You need that red. You still need that white, black, blue. Okay, all right. Real talk. I panicked. I thought this was tapping other people's lands. I forgot it was untapping.
No, even in the rules, it's like you may untap your opponent's lands if desired.
Isn't there something where it's X tap any target amount of lands?
No, I don't think so. Well, I mean, maybe, but then your opponent's just tap in response, and you just wasted your mana.
You do it in upkeep and just time walk Aaron, single Aaron. Look, listen, I'll be honest out here. As soon as I looked and felt into my spice in the cold light of this brutally cold day, I panicked. I panicked big time.
Oh my gosh. Well, I bet you guys are glad we are at the end of the episode. And if you enjoyed the content or hearing about illegal Magic decks, be sure to subscribe. Hit that notification button for whenever we go live on Twitch and YouTube, or just when our actual recorded content comes out. If you'd like to get a hold of us and ask us questions, here's how you can do that. You can reach me at MrComboNumber5 on Twitter, all spelled out except for the 5. BigTuck, it's only been 2 days since we last recorded. Or have you come up with a gimmick in 2 days?
No, but I did comment on Twitter.
Ooh.
BigTuck tweeting for one of our friends over at Drunken Elder Highlander, Kevin K. Ellis. I don't know if he wants. Yeah. And he's looking to be on stream. So quick shout out to him. And that's pretty much all I use Twitter for.
All right. You can reach our main account at CMDTower on Twitter as well. We've also been able to grant access to SD Sharpie and Marketing Ross. So they will also be piloting our primary Twitter account. You guys are going to see a lot more engagements, polls, questions, random deck thoughts, letting you know when the content drops. So be sure to follow that. If you'd like to see the video and see the list for this deck and the cards we talked about, you can just go to cmdtower.com/BNBE166. And of course, if you'd like to support us, there's a myriad of ways you could do that. Patreon.com/CMDTower, Etsy.com, CMDTower in the search bar, and AbyssProxyShop.com. And when you make a purchase, use code CMDTower for 10% off. So BigTuck, it's our last holiday episode.
No, it's sad.
Urza, Chief Artificer, and Rudolf and the Island of Misfit Toys. Do you think this deck is playable? And do you feel like we synergized it with the movie well?
I would go yes and yes.
Okay.
Right? Like, I think, like I said up front, I think if you want to build this deck, you can just do it as, like the Sphinx guy that I have, it's an Esper or whatever you want, right? You can just be like, okay, I'm just shoveling in all good artifacts and just doing that, and it's boring. But I think if you want to take a theme, if you want to take a little bit of a stroll off the beaten path, you take a left instead of a right, which is Big Fish, right? anyways, the point being is like I think that this deck is gonna be very strong. Anyway, you I think the commander's really strong, and I do like this idea of like offset tokens, not just going all in on artifact creatures, like having some support there. I think is really gonna make it feel unique and playable.
Yeah, I agree.
Is this going to be your artifact deck?
I think I might make this my artifact deck.
You think so?
Plus, you know, my Esper deck we've been trying to replace for a while.
Oh,
That's that Aloro deck.
You still have that?
Yeah. I couldn't figure out anything to replace it with.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, now granted, I think the issue with that Aloro deck is every time I've looked at I'm like, okay, I'll dismantle this, use parts. It's like, the only parts in here I would even put in the other deck is like Heuristic Study, Smothering Tithe, Cyclonic Rift, Counterspell, Force of Will.
And the lands, that's it, right?
Yeah. And then everything else is all life gain related, which has nothing to do with an artifact deck. So I think, unfortunately, Loro might just be around forever, but I do want to just replace it.
Yeah.
And I think this, you know, after I build my Drinkathon Optimus Prime deck, I think this will be my next go around because I think I could at least do something fun with artifacts.
Yeah, for sure. Now here's my question to you.
Yeah.
Do you just buy the precon if you can get it for $40?
Depends on how many of the cards out of the precon I would actually use.
Ooh, okay.
So, because the mana base will be trash. I mean, well,
yeah.
Sorry, it's not trash. It's just I have a better mana base.
How about we go with unoptimized?
There we go.
How about that?
I will be using an optimized mana base. And we know it didn't come with Heuristic Study, Smothering Tithe, Cyclonic Rift,
sure.
Force of Will, Pact of Negation. It didn't come with any of those staple Esper cards.
Did?
It would have been like that damn vampire deck.
Oh,
it's $150 to buy it.
Or the heads I win, tails you lose.
Well, that's just because the entire deck is custom.
Yeah.
It's all art you cannot get elsewhere. And I think that deck, you're able to get a foil copy of a card that is not available in foil, and it's a super popular card.
Jin Ifrit? No.
No. I think it's a white card.
Oh.
Yeah. But
wait. No, it can't be a white card. It's red and blue.
Oh yeah. Sorry. I don't remember what it is. We'll have to look it up. But yeah, no. I mean, if there was at least the dollar amount value in there, then I would go ahead and do it. But I mean, like, you know, we're trying to par down our collections. If I'm only using 6 cards out of there, and I'm just the other 94 going to go into my bulk, it's like, what good does that do?
Yeah, right. There's a chance you can play it as is.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I definitely think we fit the theme well.
Yes.
You know, it was kind of interesting how you and I kind of came at like the different aspects of the movie that we probably haven't seen in forever, and you didn't want to spend $9 to see it. You should have gone to my illegal website.
What am I made? Oh, that actually would have been. No, that actually was. It was on my dad's TV. Do you have any? I can't even get into this right now.
Well, you know what we can get into? The outro. Peace.